Welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic. Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today is day 2 recording with my new recording setup. I've heard your feedback from yesterday. The screen should be lighter for you now. I also changed the resolution settings that I hope the cards are readable. They still look a little grainy at this size, but when we zoom in, they look pretty good. And in my test runs, they looked pretty good in-game as well. Hopefully, we can go by the pictures during deck tech. I'm not sure if it's my resolution or Magic Online creating the graininess at this size, because the deck names look pretty clean. I also resized the actual game a bit. You'll see that when we get there, and I'm aware of the echo. The physical space I'm in doesn't have all the soundproofing set up quite yet. I did some quarter measures yesterday. Now they're up to half measures. The equipment to actually do it right should show up tomorrow, so bear with me on that. All that out of the way, let's look at this deck. This is from Patreon subscriber K Renegade, who wanted me to brew around Invasion of Tolvada. This is an extremely powerful effect on the front. When it enters the battlefield, return target non-battle permanent from your graveyard to the battlefield. Non-battle permanent, reanimate any non-battle permanent. That's really strong. My first build of this deck was kind of a Mardu scam deck that randomly had some omnisciences in it. And then I realized that people don't want to see Grief Fury scam deck. So I abandoned that one. It's like 80% complete. I'll share the link. It's on Moxfield. I'll put it in there in case anyone wants to pick up the mantle on that. But I audibled into one of my personal favorite cards, Shark Typhoon. This is a card that puts itself in the graveyard naturally. It's a permanent. It's a powerful permanent that you're not generally interested in casting, but it's perfectly fine if it's in play once it's already done its shark-related things. Typhoon creates blockers, digs you into the deck, and creates a natural payoff for Invasion. And it also, just in case Invasion flips to the Broken Sky on the back, creature tokens you control get +1/+0 on lifelink. Shark Typhoon also makes creature tokens. They're just tailor-made to go together in an Esper shell. Other stuff going on in the deck, basically just Esper control here with a light enchantments theme. Solitude and Subtlety, because you can't escape the pitch elementals completely. Also, both of these are pretty solid. Solitude better than Subtlety at being pitched early and then being regrown later. Pitching Subtlety to stay alive, Subtlety ends up in the graveyard. Invasion of Tolvada picks up the Solitude, you kill another creature, and then you have something that can start pressuring the invasion. Pretty cool altogether there. There's a 1 of Troll of Khazad-dûm. I had Lorien revealed originally, but I think this deck's going to have enough gas, and Troll of Khazad-dûm provides another pretty cool reanimation target. Invasion costing 5 and not 1 like Legacy Reanimate, or even 2 like Persist in this format. I don't really expect a lot of games to be determined by a quick Troll of Khazad-dûm, because Invasion only costs 1 mana less than Troll does on its face, so the rate isn't really that exciting. But I think having built into your mana base a reanimation target's pretty reasonable with what we're doing. Then we got removal and counter spells. We are an Esper control deck. Actual counterspell, Fatal Push, Prismatic Ending, Leyline Binding, supported by a Ketria Triome in the mana base. Gets you the red and the green to round out the Esper, fetchable by 8 of our 9 fetch lands. I did consider the Jund Triome, Zeotor's Proving Ground, in this spot, because you need red and green out of your land, and the Jund one can get found by Troll of Khazad-dûm, but it can't be found by Flooded Strand. And my deck has basic island, basic plains in it, and I just don't think that I want that card harder to find with the fetch lands I actually want to play to make it easier to find with this 1 of Troll of Khazad-dûm. So I put some real thought into what Triumph would be in the deck. Sauron's Ransom is a very cool way to gain card advantage and also put some stuff in your graveyard to be invaded back later. both the spell itself ends up putting stuff in your graveyard, and if the ring tempts you twice, you have a creature that's a looter that puts more stuff in your graveyard and digs you to more action. And the last card in this deck is Spreading Seas as a 4-of. This was the last thing I did. I was trying to solve two problems. One of them is, how do I beat Tron? And the other was, how do I get enough enchantments in the deck to make sideboard Sphere of Safety a banger? And Spreading Seas is a cantrip enchantment that stays in play. It's meaningfully disruptive against a large number of decks in the format. And the floor is cycles for 1 and a blue. And then it just chills out for a while. And if we bring in Sphere of Safety, which coincidentally, Spreading Seas lines up extremely well against basically all matchups where Sphere of Safety would be relevant. Spreading Seas also outright destroys Urza Saga, because Urza Saga becomes an Island Saga, and Island Sagas don't have that many chapters on them. The answer is 0. And the game immediately sees a saga with fewer chapters than it has lore counters, and puts it in the graveyard. Free money. It's possible that this deck does not hold up at all to the blistering speed of Modern, but I think I've done what I can here to be a responsible deck builder while staying true to the spirit of the challenge, and that's all we can really ask. Oh, also there's a Hall of Heliod's Generosity, because I could not resist with Shark Typhoon. Endgames on endgames, folks. We just got to get there. So I did just notice one giant spew in the deck building that I'm going to fix right now. There's a Damnation in the sideboard when black is kind of my splash color. I'm a base blue-white deck. Let's just make that Supreme Verdict. What am I doing here? Okay. That's much better. And that's the last thing I'm going to do. Let's get into this league. On the die roll in round 1, I'm on the play. I am going to keep this hand, and while we're here and take a gander at these cards, they already look better than they did in the deck screen, which is weird. I don't know why the cards look so bad when every other piece of text on the screen looks fine. But I will continue to try to dial that in. Anyway, we've got a game to play. I'm going to lead on Flooded Strand, because Flooded Strand should have been Polluted Delta. Just already thinking about my recording settings more than I'm thinking about the actual game being played. Alright, this looks like Merfolk. Aether Vial and a random blue land that has some flavor text. But yeah, I'm fetching Ketria Triome here. I should have done that with Polluted Delta though, because I mentioned in the deck tech I have a bunch of basic islands and plains. I don't have the basic swamp. Either way, I could cast Counterspell or Leyline Binding here. Wonder if I'm supposed to bind this Aether Vial. Now I get blown out by Spell Pierce, but I did play around for some negation completely on purpose. LOL. I'm going to get Godless Shrine and bind this Vial. Okay, we're in there with that. Negate Reborn. Interesting. That's really deep on blue lands that aren't islands. But Merfolk confirmed. Master the Pearl Trident in hand. Wonder if they got something else going on. Seagate Restoration is much deeper than I would even expect. There's a bunch of lands that are blue that just randomly get around choke and stuff that you could play, like Minamo and Oboro. But Seagate Restoration comes at real cost. And, oh, I guess Subtlety is a card that's probably in their deck, if that's what's going on here. I'm going to cast Counterspell while I still have any chance to do that. This is a Cavern of Souls deck. Counter that. And another Vial. They got me, or something. I could just push this now and have a board that is completely devoid of problems. I could also push a Lord next turn while blocking this with Shark Typhoon. I'm going to go with that. I'm keeping this Troll in my hand because we just keep hitting land drops. It's almost as good as a Troll. Might be better as a Troll than it is as a Swamp. Okay, we're just going into combat. And I'm going to cycle the Shark Typhoon. I can fetch a Watery Grave if I need to here. But if they didn't play a Lord pre-combat, not going to be in a big hurry to do that. You could tap this with a Trickster. Wow, Dismember. Deal. Oh, sick. Now I am highly motivated to have the board empty next turn. This is a lot of damage I'm taking from my lands, unfortunately. Okay, go after this. That's only one more damage than I would have taken from getting attacked, so I think it's worth doing. Svalin Hate that card. Dress Down. I like that card. Okay. I am going to invade Tolvada and hope that it holds up over multi-turns here. This next turn I have Dress Down that makes a 2/2 and turns off all their merfolk. And then question mark profit from there. Shark Typhoon get into play. Hope I'm not dead right now. Guaranteed at 5. A Lord makes it an extra damage. They get to start drawing cards now. I'd love to draw Leyline Binding. Just putting a 6/6 on this board, I think, is going to be very difficult for them to beat. Master's in. No, I'm at 4. They could violin another master before damage. That did not happen. Another Cavern. It's okay, I'm out of counter spells. Now we're playing to the board. Come on, Leyline Binding. Lingering Souls also makes like a million things here. None of the above. I'm going to play a tapped Watery Grave, and do I end step this Dress Down? I don't think so. I think I'd rather do it in combat before attacks. Uh-oh. I'm going to Dress Down in response to this now. And I'm going to tap Ketria Triumph to do it. My hits are going to be Esper colors. I don't actually have any red cards. Alright, come on, Leyline Binding off the top. Merfolk Trickster, that taps my Shark. Leyline Binding still pretty good here. Binding, Binding. Dead. Alright. They have more power than I have blockers. Okay. Cards that I'm interested in are Supreme Verdict, Engineered Explosives, Sphere of Safety. Don't think this other stuff's important. And things that are not great against Merfolk include Counterspell. Looking at this list, basically every card is a removal spell. Where were those during the game? Spreading Seas looks like it would be a joke, but it's actually not, because they do have caverns, they do have mutavaults, they have stuff that's not islands on purpose. I think Invasion's a little slow. Sorry, Invasion. Do I need Troll in a matchup like this? Having the 22nd land where the 6/5 Menace is just completely irrelevant. I don't think that's where I want to be. Counterspell is medium, because they have the Vials and Caverns. Stony Silence turns off Vial, but I don't think I'm boarding that in. I have Prismatic Endings. Yeah, I think Counterspell is getting the shave here, just for a bunch of removal and creature control stuff. Let's do it. Okay, keep. This has Prismatic Ending and Leyline Binding. Just a flurry of potent removal early on. Fetching the Ketria Triumph here gives me turn 2 Binding. I'm going to get the Triumph. I'm going to Ending the Vial rather than bind it, because I think binding is better later. Prismatic Ending. Use the sorcery speed thing on the deck that has a bunch of flash creatures and scary stuff like that. And if they force a negation this, I have another binding ready to go. Force pitching Kira. Okay. Kira's a scary card. Glad that's gone. Tide Shaper with Kicker. This turns my lands into islands, or a land into an island. I actually am going to pitch Subtlety to slow this down. I think freezing this up, removing the Vial, and getting Sauron's Ransom going are all worth doing here. Awkward that my deck that contains Spreading Seas is super soft to Spreading Seas. I'd love to draw a Black Source here, and then I have nothing to think about. Okay, cool. We did it. Hollowed Fountain, tapped, Leyline Binding, clear the Vial. Now I don't have to be worried about getting taken off a color, and I can just ransom. They did put Tide Shaper on top of the deck. Shaper's back. Do they want to turn off my Chroma or Domain or whatever that ability is? Or cut me off black? I think cutting me off black is smarter. Ooh, Lingering Souls. Could just put some stuff into play here. I like that. Now if Ransom hits a land next turn, I can double spell. And I can save 2 life because I don't have to fetch a black source right now. Silvergill Adept, revealing Lord of Atlantis, investing in the card draw rather than getting damage through. There's a Mutavault I mentioned when I left my Spreading Season. I think I just get Rafine's Tower here. Mostly the same as Watery Grave. Except, you know, better in a lot of ways. A Ransom. Just going to do that right now. Here are the piles. Solitude and all my other cards. Interesting. I'll take all my other cards. Drawing 3, I really like. And Spirit Token is my Ring Bearer. Prismatic Ending clears the Tide Shaper. I'm just going to fire that off on anything. I know they have Unblockable coming. And I'm going to attack with my Ring Bearer. That one won't be blocking. And if they cast that Lord in their hand, I know they're in the clear anyway. They can just fire for 6 right now. I need to answer this Lord. These unblockable creatures, quickly reducing my life total. Okay, there's an answer to Lord. And I can answer Mutavault. Yeah, I'm gonna seize the Mutavault. Dress down's cool. Do I want a binding at sorcery speed or get in there now? Or at instant speed? Like, I could get a combat blowout here, or I could get blown out by some interactive spell now that they're not. If they untap here. I guess Dress Down also clears the Lord of Atlantis while drawing me a card. Yeah, I think I'm gonna chill on Dress Down here, because that answers any number of Lords. Spreading Seas definitely felt like a removal spell there. I'm glad I left those in. Okay, I'm gonna Dress Down here. I should end up with a blockable 1/1 versus my 1/1 token. Hardcast Force, sure. Right, I take 3, and they didn't get to force my Leyline Binding. Deal. And we Time Walk them. Fatal Push. That one's even better. I can Flashback Souls, and push, and bind here. I'm doing that. Attack with my Ring Bearer. Want to protect that one. Another Lord. Okay. Hopefully that just increases the combat blowout that's coming. Okay, kill the not attacking Lord. And I can just double block the current Lord. Or triple block it in case they have a Flash Lord. Yeah, I'm just going to triple block this Lord. Might be getting fast and loose letting this Silverglade Adept get in again, but having removal, just so good. And then they have a blockable 1/1 versus my board full of tokens. And they're out of cards. Cool. Svalin, other merfolk have ward. Okay. I am free to bind this Svalin. Time to take over. What does that look like? Certainly not shocking in this land. And I think I attack with my Ring Bearer and just pass the turn. Get ready to do Shark Typhoon stuff. And hope they don't draw a Lord right now. Either Vile. Right on time. Cool. We're stable. Make a 2/2 Shark in the end step. Gotta get through 17 life pretty quick here. They have a lot of powerful draws, and my life total is not exactly flush. Counterspell's cool. I'm gonna seize the Mutavault again. Like, I don't really care if Ottawar is an island, but if they can randomly remove my thing here, that might do something. All of Helia, ding, 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 ding. We've got a game. And I can counter a Lord this turn. They don't have a Cavern, and Vile won't be high enough to put it in, so I can attack with my Shark, push my damage. This turn I hope they do draw a Lord, and I hope they shove it. None of the above. I'm going to regrow Shark Typhoon. The way that I lose this game is if they just drew a 1-drop Merfolk, and then they top deck Lord next turn, and they do it all under the watchful gaze of Aether Vial. But both of those things have to happen in that order. They didn't have a 1-drop. 2 cards in hand. No attacks. A fetching here makes me dead to any Lord, but they don't currently have it. Now I'm at 3. Deck full of removal. Let's just try to find it. I'm not going to leave up mana to loop Shark Typhoon this turn. I'm just going to put them on a 1-turn clock and try to draw as many answers as I can to what they might do to stop that. Dress Down's really good. Sphere of Safety, what's up? That costs 5 for them to attack with anything. Okay, go to combat. Ring Bearer, 5/5, 2/2. It's a 2-turn clock, well, 1 turn after this, without the 2/2 involved, and I don't want to get trickstered. Time to drop the hammer. Sphere of Safety. I even have Counterspell Protection if they're holding Force of something or other. They do have 5, though. If they vial in a Lord and then pay 5 to attack with Silvergill, they're in there. Okay, we're in there. Oh, we got the LOL in the chat. Fuck yeah, LOL. Laugh it up, homie. If I put in Dress Down here, then they'd have to pay 6 for each attacker. Can I lose if I play Dress Down here? I don't think so. Yeah, that just makes it cost 6 to attack. And any Lords or anything. are unplayable. Oh, the second sphere. How do you like paying 12 for each attacker? They gotta have the land in their hand to attack at all. Okay, land in the hand confirmed. You want to attack with one creature? No, cool. 5/5 Shark is block or die. Subtlety can't block Spirit Token. Oh, I can get some loots in, but I think playing a second sphere with Counterspell backup is just too heckin' perfect. Ring Bearer get in, Shark Token get in. And I don't think I'm worried about anything at this point. I have forced blocks on this Shark Token. Yeah, I'm just attacking with everything. They're not going to get through these spheres. One card in hand has to both answer sphere and counter my counterspell. Opponent's at 1. Now let's break their soul and spirit. Bow, 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 bow. That's the sound sphere safety makes when creatures bounce off it. If they need some kind of direct damage, even that I can counterspell, or like some kind of Cyclonic Rift style effect. I don't even know what they could have. It's certainly not that. We did it. The double sphere of safety somehow stopped the creature deck. Surprising. I don't think anything changes here. Deck has every removal spell I have access to. Really, the only thing that's even a little tempting is the Stony Silence to turn off Vials forever, but I don't even care about that. I have 2 endings, 4 bindings, and engineered explosives that can all clear Vials. Yeah, let's go. 1 lander, where the cheapest spell is 3. I think I'm going to mulligan this one. Oh no. This 1 lander where my spells are actually good, but I think I have to go to 5. Okay, cool. A 5 where my spells are good. I like that. Okay, opponent went to 5-2. That's really generous of them to think about me when putting their cards away. I'm actually going to bottom counterspell at Overspreading Seas. There's just so many things that they could keep the hand on the strength of that invalidate counterspell. And there's one of them. I'm going to play Delta. I can Fatal Push something if I need to, and I can just fetch Rafine's Tower. Otherwise, I have other pathways to catch a Triome, and I'd rather cast my main spells than worry about having ending on right away. Rafine's Tower get in. Or binding in. On. In. On. I don't know how words work. Spreading Seas, this Manamo. It's not an island, but it is now. Got him. Okay, I have Shark Typhoon and Invasion. There is a plan to win this game now. And Rafine's Tower getting turned into an island's not even that bad. If the first spell of the game is Valen, though, that's going to be tough. Or no, I have Push. And Valen is not currently indestructible. Can be destructed, fully destructible. Sauron's Ransom, cool. Got options here. I can just play Godless Shrine. Untapped. Yeah, I'm just going to do that. Untap Godless Shrine. I have Push available. I can Sauron's Ransom or Shark Typhoon if they don't do anything. Either Vial in the end step. Medallion Hexcatcher, that can counter spells. Also is a Lord. Doesn't provide evasion though, which is the thing I'm most worried about. I don't think I chump block this, though I could. And maybe that's a perfectly good use of resources here. Unlikely to get a trade off this anyway, and it gets me a card deeper, puts a target for invasion in the bin. Yeah, cool. Gold. Healing Salve. Cantrip Healing Salve. Okay, now we got a real plan to work our way into the mid and late game here. Vial triggers. They did not vial anything in and didn't pick it up. Got the double whammy there. Okay, attacking with Hexcatcher. I'm going to Fatal Push that card. Vial in response. Okay. Another Hexcatcher. I don't think that does anything. It wins the combat against tokens, which makes sense. This is a card that makes perfect sense because if they had Lord, they would have just vialed before attacks. Now I have a cool thing I can do, which is Sauron's Ransom right now. And Vidalian Hexcatcher is, sacrifice a Merfolk. It can sack itself. If they want to counter Sauron's Ransom, which I don't even care about, they have to sack a Merfolk. Either one takes damage off the board. Yeah, let's do this. Okay, yeah, that just resolved. I think they're inclined to counter it if I play it second main or end of turn. So right here in combat creates tension for them to have to figure out. A removal spell and some blocks face up. Also, Lingering Souls ending up in the graveyard is like getting 3 cards here. These other cards might just be bad, though. I still like the upside of putting Lingering Soul straight into the graveyard. Subtlety Counterspell. Alright. Kinda into that. Okay, drew basic island. That saves me having to fetch or really do anything scary here. If I play Solitude now, they can't force a negation it. Subtlety would cost them their whole hand. And then I can just invade it next turn. Yeah, I'm just going to cast Subtlety right now in my main phase and get rid of Hexcatcher. Okay, I can Subtlety their next creature. I have a lifelink thing that can race Island Walk, if necessary. And Invasion is ready to go. Second Vial. You got it. And me without a Stony Silence. They offer the trade here. Pretty sure I would have blocked if they just fired in on that. Sick. Okay, do I care more about Tideshaper or Aether Vial? I think it's Tideshaper. I'm going to end the Shaper and then attack with my lifelink thing. Start pulling out a reach here. Because they tap this island, Force of Negation would also now cost them 2 cards. All of which is fine by me. Time to invade Tolvada. Maybe I'm supposed to pre-combat this so I can start pressuring it. Oh yeah, scoop into the invasion. Let's go, beating up Merfolk round 1, keep it rolling. You come here to level up at Magic. To level up as a software engineer, check out the new YouTube series Dev Better, hosted by the founder of 7 Factor Software and Magic player, Jeremy Duvall. 7 Factor's small teams of high-performing engineers build custom mobile apps, APIs, and highly scalable systems for Fortune 500 companies and ambitious startups with great ideas. If you'd like to hire 7 Factor, or maybe join their team, contact them through their website at 7factor.io. And don't forget to subscribe to 7 Factor's YouTube for every episode of Dev Better. On the draw for round 2, I'm going to keep this in. I got Solitude, white cards to pitch, and some interaction stuff. Let's go. Verdant Catacombs pass from the opponent. That's wild. I'm going to lead on Marsh Flats. This doesn't get Ketria Triome, but it does get Rafine's Tower, which then Flooded Strand can get Ketria Triome, and I can bind off the tower, if any of that's even important. Okay, we're against Yawgmoth. My deck full of removal, I hope, can pinpoint the important interaction spots in a matchup like this one. This Old Border Wall of Roots just looks so good all the time. That's just a card that, to me, I'm like, yeah, that's a gamer. Spreading Sea is very interesting. I can cut them off black right now while drawing a card. Then counterspells off. I probably shouldn't have fetched yet. I'm just going to grab this Hallowed Fountain, and I am going to Spreading Seas them. I would like to draw cards, hit my land drops, and this makes Yogg uncastable. Oof. Drew another non-land. Did draw another white card to pitch to Solitude, though. Good chance Invasion is my white card, though. Second Black Source does not cast Yogg. Another Wall, you got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They can cord for 2 right now. Come on, land. Uh-oh. Well, options include Prismatic Ending, or just go to discard and drop Lingering Souls. I think I'm going to do that. Make the cleanup step feel like card advantage. Yeah, I think holding up Counterspell here is just better than anything else I could do. Oh, I might be able to use it right now. Then I don't have to go to cleanup. Cool. Bowmasters, huh? Alright, I'll counter it. Yeah, that's certainly a card that's legal in the modern format. I haven't played against Yawgmoth since that came out. But yeah, makes sense it's here. I hope their hand is all 4 Yawgmoths right now. Or they could have 3 Yawgmoth and the Geralf's Messenger, that's fine too. Young Wolf resolves. A Court of Calling here would be pretty good. Yogg would be able to draw a bunch of cards on the way out to my Solitude. Eldritch Evolution, that's slightly worse, because there's 1 fewer creature to eat, but it still does put Yogg into play. Okay. I was going to say if they Young Wolf now, I'm going after Yogg in response, and that is what I'm going to do. Before they can sack it again. Solitude, notably not a human. Just 1 card off the Yogg, and they spent 2 cards to get it into play. But I spent 2 cards to answer it. This calculation is impossible. Come on, white or blue land, please. Ugh. Okay. Prismatic Ending or leave up Counterspell. I think I leave up Counterspell here. I'm just not worried about Young Wolf as a magic card. Not on its own. Not enough to tap out a counterspell to cast Prismatic Ending. If I drew the land here, I would have ended that so fast. But I did not. Fetched a Swamp in the end step. They can cast Yogg again. They're free. Nope, 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 nope. 2 down. 2 to go. Okay, found the land. Now I don't even need it. I'm gonna Prismatic Ending Young Wolf. And do I need to hold up Dress Down? I don't think I need to Dress Down this turn. If I get combo killed right now, I deserve it. But I think saving that 2 life is worth it. Strangle Geist, that's fine. Dress Down, just... It would have cost me the same 2 life to shock in the Water Grave as it does to get attacked by this thing. Okay, cool. Troll of Khazad-dûm. That is a land. Still no basic swamps in my deck. I think I'm going to play tapped Godless Shrine. Do I need Godless Shrine? Fiend's Tower is really tying the room together here, and I have a lot more blue commitment than I do black. Yeah, I'm actually going to get Watery Grave. And Watery Grave tapped. I'm going to use Dress Down to survive this turn, rather than spend 2 life, put Lingering Souls into play. We're doing stuff. Endurance. Okay, end step Dress Down still works here. In air quotes, works. They still have 5 power in play. But it is here. And I get to keep my graveyard, and Wall of Roots is not a mana dork, and they can't Yogg me out. All of which are good things. Tilt. Imagine just having 3 of your namesake card. When I've had 0. No, that's true, I pitched 1. I pitched 1, it's fine. Okay. In trouble, though. Lingering Souls also does not line up well against Yawgmoth's, just the words on the card. Come on, Solitude. Lanes lets me play Lingering Souls and hold up Counterspell. I don't know if that actually wins me the game at this point. Probably not. You would have to sack 2 creatures to clear the 2 things. But sacking Wall and Geist. And then they attack with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I'm just dead there. I can make a 3/3 Shark. Or I could YOLO Sauron's Ransom for removal. Removal barely even works here. It has to be. Yeah, I think Shark Typhoon is my best bet here. Sucks that they had a 3rd Yogg, though. Tough beats. Prosperous Innkeeper. Okay, so now they can loop forever if they have the 3rd piece. There's the 3rd piece. So I counterspell this and then die in combat. Got it. Counterspell that. And then they attack with everything. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is exactly lethal, so I do have to Sauron's Ransom into Solitude if I'm going to survive this turn. Okay. All right, 4 looks at a 3 outer. Just send it. I will choose pile number 2. We did it. Kinda. All right, Solitude pitching Lingering Souls. Gonna exile Yawgmoth. You can draw a bunch of cards in response here. Okay, that saves me 2 life by sacking the Geist there. If they also sack Endurance, they can draw a lot of cards this turn at the expense of dealing any damage to me. And if they find a Chord of Calling along the way, if that can get Young Wolf, then they can draw their deck in response. Okay, they appear to be satisfied with what they've done. Okay, still in trouble, but that was a nice dig for Solitude. The 4th Yogg, come on. Let's be serious. Tolvada. Okay. This does not save me because I don't have Ketria Triome. Invasion of Tolvada would have been sick there. Just get back Solitude, exile your Yogg. But, guess I'm dead. Fine. What are you going to do when all 4 Yoggs are in their top 21 cards? And they tutored for one of them. But still, the other 3 were just natty dirty. Supreme Verdict, I like. Sphere of Safety. They can still combo me out, but I do like having Sphere to shut down the combat lines. I think the Troll sucks and should not be in the deck. Having played 1.5 matches now, I'm kind of just off that as a concept. Subtlety's great. Engineered Explosives can clear out mana dorks. Nile Spellbomb has some text. Some stuff comes in and out of their graveyard. I don't know if I'm like that hyped about it. Unward Ego, shredding the Yoggs, makes them win with combat, and then Sphere of Safety shuts down the line on the back end. I'm out a Lingering Souls. I think a couple of the Spreading Seas can go. I still like the card in general. But they have so many mana dorks, it's unlikely it's going to really shut them down. All my exile-based removal has to stay, and I guess one of the invasions can go. Okay, let's do it. Bunch of removal, keep. Delighted Halfling. I'm just going to get Watery Grave and push that in the end step. Or no, I don't need to do that. Oh yeah, I do, if I'm going to leave up Counterspell. Yeah, okay. Watery Grave, Fatal Push. Sauron's Ransom. When I find land number 3, we get to do stuff. Young Wolf. Shocking that in. So I expect Veil of Summer here, or a second 1-drop. Though they could have left the Verdant Catacombs uncracked, which wouldn't have tipped me about Veil of Summer. So another 1-drop. Okay, they're passing. I'm not going to fetch here. I want more lands in my deck to draw them. I drew a 5-drop instead. Okay. Hiding behind my tenuous wall of removal and subtlety. Young Wolf gets in. Another Young Wolf. Annoying. What a nightmare. At least that is exile-based removal, though. Let's continue getting nickeled and dimed. Okay, Grist still representing the Veil of Summer. I'll take the bait here. Hallowed Fountain. Counterspell. I can subtlety this also, if I'm super worried about it. Yeah, no shit. Okay. I can let Veil resolve first, and then, I mean, they end up with Grist and this card. Either way. Okay, I am going to subtlety also. Okay, Grist goes to the top, and then they draw it. And we worked through the Veil of Summer. How about a land deck? Maybe, please? My goodness, we're in there. I'm going to take my damage to play this. I can cast Leyline Binding, or I can Sauron's Ransom, as needed. And I just had to pitch my Supreme Verdict. So, Sphere of Safety it is. We're all in. Grist resolves. Milled a Chord of Calling. Deal. Time to Ransom. I also like that Sauron's Ransom says choose an opponent. It doesn't say target opponent. That way Veil of Summer doesn't blow it out. Doesn't actually target, just has a person involved. Ooh, Solitude and Sphere of Safety versus whatever's down here. I think I like those cards. Land went to the graveyard. Shark Typhoon. Annoyingly not what I want. I can bind Grist right now. And they know I can pitch cast Solitude. Yeah, I'm just going to deal with Grist. Just played Beseju last turn. Even if they have another one, I'll kind of take the land at this point. Put Ketria Triumph into play. Move on with my life. I think I have to pitch this Sphere, though. It's not going to come down in time to actually lock them out of killing me. My life total is too low. I am going to go to 4 here. They have scarier cards than these to spend a Solitude on. Haywire Might. Alright, fuck me. Yeah, they get Grist back right away. And runnering lands isn't quite good enough at this point. So I do have Fatal Push and Solitude. Not drawing the land there is probably a death knell. Oh, I can dress down, see if I draw the land, and then Fatal Push a Young Wolf while the coast is clear. Or draw another card I can't cast. Alright, cool. I'm dead. Yeah, sucks to just, not draw any lands in 7 turns against a matchup that's probably reasonable, but that's Magic. On to the next one. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there. I'm on the play in round 3 against a Gigantha deck. Gigantha can be Tron sometimes. More likely it's Death Shadow. This hand just seems really bad. In the Shark Typhoon can cycle for 0 and try to find land number 3, but is that how I want to play this game? Ugh. I'm going to mulligan. This is the same hand, but with the land in my deck that doesn't cast anything. Straight to 5. I've got a Keeper, but it also doesn't cast my spells. Tough beats. I'm gonna stop though. Put one of the Lingering Souls and then so far away from Leyline Binding. Alright, Leyline Binding's out of here. Opponent went to 6. Let's see what's up. And said island. A plains. Ottawa as my land. Just tell my opponent straight up I don't have another land, or else I would have used that one. Hammer can't really be a Gigantha deck because Pure Steel Paladin is essential to that strategy. So what's going on over here? Ingenious Smith. I think I want to subtlety this. Just anything to slow them down at this point. Come on, Black Source. Get this Sauron's Ransom going. Catch your Triumph. Hell yeah. Another island, functionally. And Stoneforge Mystic. Glad I spent my interactive spell on that one. Cauldron Complete in the hand. I am a deck full of white removal, though you wouldn't know it. Spreading Seas your Iganjo. And I will pay, because there's no spell I can draw that is helpful here, with an extra mana. In Fetch Land, plus Ketria Triome, Leyline Binding costs 1, and Cauldron's gone. Got that going for me, but gotta figure it out pretty soon. And they did not play a land. Come on, deck. Jeez. I don't think the mana in this deck is that bad. This makes it look very bad, though. Probably, and another way to take the deck. I was really trying to lean into the enchantment sub-theme, which is why we're bothering to support Leyline Binding at all. But another way to take the deck is you're just not a Leyline Binding deck, and you don't have a stupid land like Ketria Triumph around. Lightning Greaves, what the hell? Stop it. I'm just casting any spell that I can right now. And right on time, what does this do? It puts me to 4, or it puts me to 3. Okay, this does do enough of what I need it to do. I am at 1 on the board, but Cauldron's gone. And there's a little interesting tension of whether you exile the Cauldron itself or the germ that's on it. If you exile the germ, then something that can equip for free is a problem. If you exile the Cauldron itself, then something that kills Leyline Binding is a problem. Alright, we're not winning this one. Just adding 2 creatures to the board this turn. My plan was to hide behind Lingering Souls for a little bit, and we are deadzos. Unfortunate. Mull to 5, trying to be responsible, end up just friggin' dead for my effort. Bringing all my creature hate stuff. Counterspell actually seems kind of bad here. I'm going to leave the Troll in. Having 2 consecutive games of mana issues have me a little bit concerned. Subtlety doesn't seem that important. Neither does Counterspell. I think playing to the board makes sense for this matchup. Engineer Explosives looks like something I want. I am on the play, so Counterspell lines up against Stoneforge Mystic in ways that I like. I just go 0 Subtlety, down 2 Counterspells, all my removals in. Okay, I'm going to do it like this. Okay, I'm going to keep this, actually. The 2 Spreading Seas, pretty exciting. They're definitely a Urza Saga deck. I will not be mana screwed this game. Pithing Needle, you got it. Did they see any targets for that? Fairy Time Raveler, good guess, but not in my deck. There was a build where it was, but I obviously did not end up playing that one. Okay, is this a sinkhole? Can we get him? Actually, the Jeggy is a pretty serious indicator that Spreading Seas, oh, I was about to say isn't going to get him, but I think they might be slightly gotten here. Otawara, Counterspell. Alright, well, I left in a couple of Counterspells for moments like this. Lightning Greaves, I don't think that's my fight. They're working on something here. Power Conduit, like we're playing Magic. Flooded Strand can get the missing Triome. Shadow Spear, still not a threat. Handful of white cards. We did it, Spreading Seas. Grab the Triome. Stony Silence. Dang. Words like violence break the silence. It's turned off 5 of my opponent's permanents, including their 1 land they had. Okay. I'll counterspell whatever this white spell is, and then play another Spreading Seas on their white source. This is going extremely well. Should I fetch before I Spreading Seas? I think so. Just want to increase my density of drawing good cards. Sees you. Sauron's Ransom, let's go. Do I need to cast this right now? I don't think so. I don't think there's any 1-drops I'd want access to. Okay, they're just passing the turn. Ransom. You have to pay. It's not an option. That's how Ransom works. Roll of Khazad-dûm and 3 other cards. Can't imagine any 3 cards. Did they just try to trick me? They're like, yeah, you're not getting this Troll of Khazad-dûm. Okay, you can never win. Fear of safety. I'm safe. All of your creatures cost 4 to attack with at this moment, and it's going to be more soon. Another Darksteel Citadel. Yeah. Even if we lose this match, we get to ride the high of what's going on here for quite some time. Lingering Souls. I think it's time to win the game here. Flashback Lingering Souls. I'll play Ottawara as a land. I think that's fine. I'm not going to need to bounce stuff. Everything is covered that this deck is possibly capable of. Yeah, somehow they decided that's enough. What a weird Sauron's Ransom. Did they think I would take Troll over 3 busted Insano cards? Like, just show me one of the busted Insano cards. At least split the pile. I don't know. Okay, Subtlety on the draw might be better than Counterspell on the play. Though going down 2 cards still doesn't feel good. And I do still have a deck full of removal. Thinking about Subtlety versus Counterspell here. My blue cards left in the deck to pitch to Subtlety are the Seas, the Dress Down, the Ransoms, and the Shark Typhoons. Now I kind of like the configuration that was already in. Back in. Got that Spreading Seas. Game over. I'm gonna keep my hand. Springleaf Drum. That is not Esper Sentinel, and I'm glad about it. Okay, Ketria Triome into play here. The fetch land gives me Leyline Binding for 1. Oh. Alright, Stoneforge Mystic. I have Leyline Binding for the Cauldron or whatever. I'm sinkholing this Urza Saga. You can't stop me. Nettlecyst was the grab, so they either already have Cauldron or they're planning for a world where I kill Stoneforge Mystic. Okay, so Shocking in Hallowed Fountain here. Oh, Shocking in... Yeah, I should just get the Godless Shrine. I was about to talk about a convoluted sequence that results in me having double white next turn, but Ketria Triome is a blue source, and I can still have double white next turn if I want. Your land is gone. Sinkhole. If they have a land, they can still Cauldron here. Okay. They not only have a land, but it's that. Did you actually have Cauldron the whole time? You did. Wow. I'm surprised. I'll have to draw another Spreading Seas, actually. What a great card. Shark Typhoon. I saw the blue enchantment and I got really excited. Okay, Leyline Binding. And I think I actually am going to take the Germ this time after talking to myself about what the pros and cons of each are. And I think tapped Hallowed Fountain, save my life total, invest in the future. Their big haste thing already happened. Good chance they just leave up mana for Urza Saga this turn. Yeah, attacking with Stoneforge, that's fine. Alright, I got Ransom, I got Binding, I got Solitude, I got Supreme Verdict. I got options here. Feeling powerful right now. Gonna pass the turn and see what they come up with. And they're gonna come up with 2 constructs. It's just what do you tutor out? Does what you get beat? Supreme Verdict next turn. We've seen Shadow Spear. I don't know if that even makes sense on this board. Pithing Needle, cool. Name Teferi again. Oh, they got me. They named Teferi again. Alright, I'm gonna make a 1/1 Shark to block Construct token. Doesn't need to be any bigger than that. And then this Supreme Verdict looks like it's gonna be a complete beating next turn. But this Engineered Explosive looks pretty good too. Okay, here we go. White, white, blue, colorless. Unless they have some Indestructible Your Squad spell. I feel really good about this position. Nice, gone. And the way that the stack works, there was no way to work Nettlecyst in there where it's actually a creature. They have to then just pass the turn and cast it. There's the Shadow Spear, cool. Okay, land for Solitude. Land for Solitude, we did it. I'm just gonna run this. Just put it into play. Exile your 6/6. Now I have a major win condition that if you kill, I get to invade it right back. And if you don't kill, I'm going to invade that Shark Typhoon next turn. Okay, they have a giant 1-cost creature. Okay. Leyline Binding costs 1. I could also Engineered Explosives 4-1, which kills Needle, Shadow Spear, Springleaf Drum, and Esper Sentinel. That sounds bonkers. And this doesn't work the way Thalia does because you're paying a cost. Oh, right. This is a freaking 8-drop. Or 8 power. I cannot pay 8. And anyway, finishing that thought. That doesn't work like Thalia does. Because you're paying the cost of a trigger, you're not paying for the cost of the spell. So I can't like announce explosives for 0, pay for Esper Sentinel, and then get those colors into it, is what I'm saying. And you can't do that with cards like Thalia and Sphere of Resistance. Here's this jerk again. I'm going to respond to equip this time. Leyline Binding, well, it still only costs 1. And I'm going to bind the Sentinel, not the Cyst. If all their cards cost an additional 2 to be relevant every time they play them, in order to equip the Cyst, I think I'm okay in that world. And I'm also just going to invade, putting Shark Typhoon into play here with a handful of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 mana worth of spells. Once again, I attacked first. Other than the pre-release for March of the Machines, I have not actually played with battles, like, at all. So the sequencing of remembering to attack your battle probably should be a higher priority than what I'm making it here. Yeah, that could be a 2, and whoops. I've made that mistake twice now. Let's see if I can fix it. Oh, search your library for a plains, discard a card, reanimate target permanent with value 2 or less, and then this becomes a 3/4 that makes spirits. That's a cool card. Sagas versus battles. The age-old. Oh, Seal of Cleansing. All right. Cool tech. That will answer my Shark Typhoon like a boss. Well done. Okay. Now I very much wish that I had attacked the invasion last turn. And I think I'm going to ransom now, because I still have land drops to make. Yeah, so they can regrow that Seal of Cleansing. Counterspell Invasion is what they showed me. Wow. What's down face down then? All right, I'm just taking the 2 good cards I can see. Lingering Soul, Sauron's Ransom in the graveyard. I am representing Counterspell. Yeah, that sounds good. I'll pass. Okay, they can get back Seal of Cleansing or Stoneforge Mystic. Their whole graveyard is live. They could get Urza's Saga as well. I have Spreading Seas ready for that one. Seal of Cleansing it is. ETB's tapped. It's so funny when enchantments are tapped. Okay, they can nettle this up. I'm going to bind it, paying the 1, and take the Esper Sentinel again. Yeah, they're done. Okay. Yeah, this felt like a good matchup on paper, especially after board when I have all these stupid enchantments, like Stony Silence and Sphere. But we did it. On to the next round. The Command Tower software by Eminence Gaming is perfect for hosting TCG events. It features easy-to-create event registration for 1v1 and 4-player Swiss structured tournaments. Event management has never been so simple, and it's web-based, so there's no download required. Get access for just $5 at eminence.event/subscribe. On the draw for round 4, Counterspells and Solitude to keep me alive. Let's try it. Lingering Souls. This hand is very good at not dying to normal means. I could get comboed out or troned out or something, but unlikely to just take 20 damage anytime soon. Okay, this Flooded Strand is on white mana duty. It's just going to get Rafine's Tower. We're not going to worry about Leyline Binding just yet. Darkslick Shores, Polluted Delta. So there are some like Bowmaster control decks out there, Dimir, Bowmaster control stuff. I suspect that more than I suspect Mill. Like, Mill would have done something by now. I'm just going to hold up Counterspell and chill for a minute. Yeah, if they want to play land go against the hand I kept, I am totally cool with that. Just keep developing my fetch lands here. Eventually I'll be able to play Lingering Souls with Counterspell backup. Not Counterspell to protect Lingering Souls. I can't imagine that being important. But, like, getting a threat on the board and still holding Counterspell for their thing. Are we going into the ransom hole? Yeah, we are. This is the old counter the Fact or Fiction bet. I am going to counter the Fact or Fiction rather than try to work through the cards that they get out of it. Ledger Shredder. You got it. And Dark Confidant, what's up? I like this deck. I like that Engineered Explosives in my sideboard too. Let's see what we can do with those 2 pieces of information. Okay, I'm getting the Triome here. I'm now fully online. Accurate description of my life, by the way. And I'm going to exile Bob Confidantis here. And I'm not going to end step my dress down because that would trigger Ledger Shredder. Just going to hold that for their turn. Lazav the Multifarious. Zoinks. Oh, I'll at least try to stuff a Surveil here. They draw a card. Lazav resolves. Currently no creatures in the graveyard. Big fan of Lazav, though. Great job on that. And now I have up Solitude or Subtlety on the hardcast. Either one is fine. Just going to shock in Water Your Grave and pass. Shark Typhoon's active, Solitude's active, Subtlety's active. This is where they do something crazy, like mill themselves and I lose somehow. I think I go with Shark Typhoon. That's the one that doesn't get counterspelled and does affect combat meaningfully. Consider, okay. You're trying to set up Lazav. What, is there a one-hit kill in this format? Like, there's no Dreadnought. Death Shadow, I guess you would have a 13/13. Or no, it's just a copy of it. It doesn't borrow its stats, yeah. I'm excited to learn what the payoff is when we get there. Thoughtseize, bummer. My Solitude's definitely going here. Lazav copies creatures in your graveyard, not any graveyard. Don't have to worry about that. What's it like to be a criminal? Here we go. I think I'm more worried about Lazav. Maybe I'm a wuss, but I have respect for that card. Where Ledger Shredder is like a real Magic card, and Lazav is a fake Magic card. I'm still gonna go for the real one. The one I respect more. Round in the lock. Yeah, you're good. Lots of cards in my graveyard. They've looted away exclusively lands the entire game, though. This Ledger Shredder has done a lot of selection, but it's not much of a threat. And I'm gonna grab a... Every land is blue. I'm gonna get the Godless Shrine here. Ransom is cool. Yeah, I'm just gonna put Lingering Souls on the stack here. And I'm not gonna flash it back because that connives, and I have other instants I can play. I'm fine jumping with Spirits. Absorbing 1 damage. Works for me. If I win this game, I think it will be in catastrophic fashion with some overwhelming engine at the end of the game, not by 1 damage with my Spirit token. Okay. We've both respected Sauron's Ransom. No ransom allowed. Another Lingering Souls. Maybe I will just fuck up here and let them connive and have 100 spirits in play. Literally 100, by the way. That's the count. And I'm going to go from hand. It gives away information, but it also gives me 3 ways to flash it back. This uses my mana the best. Discarded a Drown in the Lock. All right. That means the 2 cards in their hand are better than Drown in the Lock. That's scary. I'm going to block with 1 spirit if they attack. I'm not going to try to get the quad block here, because that just... I end up losing most of my army to a Fatal Push. Or even just like 2 instants connive. Yeah, they recognize that they're on defense now. Cool. Shark Typhoon. I like that one. I'm going to Lingering Souls, though. They're at 13. They're actually running out of life here. What if I just flash back all my Lingering Souls and kill them next turn? I was probably supposed to attack if I was going to do that. But here we go. Army up. Yeah, I'm supposed to swarm here, get 4 damage across, and then they're very dead next turn. Stubborn Denial discarded. And another Lingering Souls for the road. Once again, another case of clicking through a phase before you actually come up with your plan. Don't do that in real Magic. Know what you're doing before you start taking actions. If Ledger Shredder attacks, I will block with all of my spirits. And I can Subtlety spell if I need to. I don't think Ledger Shredder is a spell I need a Subtlety. They can connive twice here if they have a spell. Alright, looks like I'm just coming in with the Swarm. With Counterspell backup. Let's go. Alright, you take 9 here. Kill 2 of my spirits. Go to 4. And then I have 9 spirits. You can block 2 of them on the following turn, and you're dead. If I had attacked last turn, it would have dealt exactly 4. Just pointing that out to rub it in on myself. Death Shadow, I don't care about. That doesn't fly. Death Shadow, I still don't care about. Still doesn't fly. Does connive twice. Discarded another Shadow. And a Sauron's Ransom. They still look dead to me. Cool. Alright. Lingering Souls. Like it's friggin' 2011. Crushing a game. Supreme Verdict looks good here. Chalice of the Void's interesting because it's in the deck for Cascade spells, but Chalice on 1 looks really good against them, and I only have one mana spell in my deck, 2 copies of it. This could be an effective, actual, honest Chalice of the Void. I'll think about that. Flusterstorm lines up well against Sauron's Ransom. I don't think I need the subtleties here. I'm not that scared of what they're doing with creature-wise, but it's worth 2 spells. Once again, shaving an invasion. I had a version with 2 in the main and just another real spell, and at the very last second I was like, no, I'm playing 3 of those, but 2 is probably enough to get the spirit of the challenge met and still have a deck. Spreading Seas doesn't seem that important here, unless I bring in the spheres, which it's live. I might. Blue-black not known for their enchantment removal, generally speaking. We saw Lazav, so there's at least some graveyard action. And Drown in the Lock, I could spellbomb myself to get that under control. Not even good. Not convinced. Okay, shaving, the Spreading Seas. All right, I'm back off on Troll. We've had a couple of games of good mana that did not require Troll's help, so I'm back in for that. Surge does stop removal spells and Thoughtseize. I didn't see Grief in their deck. That doesn't mean it's not there, but we didn't really see any scam stuff. We saw a lot of the deck. I think I'm going to shave another counterspell for another Fluster, just get a little lighter, a little thinner, and this is my deck. I am not in the market for this 1-lander full of 5 and 6 drops. I am in the market for this hand. Keep it and send, I think, Shark Typhoon. Is Shark Typhoon or Counterspell? Actually, I think Counterspell is worth than Shark Typhoon, because I'm going to tap out for Chalice, and then likely tap out for Engineered Explosives after that. When am I casting Counterspell? Looted Delta, likely to just get the Rafine's Tower here. I don't have black yet, can't worry about green and red till I have my core colors ready. Preordain. Went top bottom with that. Rafine's Tower, get in. Marsh Flats, okay, I'm all set on that anyway. And let's see how good this honest to goodness, as Garfield intended, Chalice of the Void looks. We know a lot of their creatures are 2s, but we saw Thoughtseize, Preordain, Consider, Death Shadow, Baneface Sauron's Ransom, respect it. I don't really want them to have Liliana of the Veil. That card actually looks meaningfully annoying. Giving them Bob and Drown sucks a lot, though. How do I mitigate this the best? I'm putting Bob and Lily in the same pile as a combo for them. Land, Lily, Bob, Drown. Okay. Of course they couldn't have a 1-drop here. Oh, I also just don't even... The Liliana's face up. I stack these backwards. I even know how this works now, and still was like, no, I'm going to do it wrong. Okay, so I gave them Liliana plus land face up. Smart. Good, I drew the answer to Liliana immediately, as Garfield intended. Oh, we're cracking land number 4. What's this about? Lazav. Okay. Yeah, Lazav's in. Surveil 1. What are we cooking with? Cooking away at Thoughtseize. Tight. End of turn. I actually just want to cycle Shark Typhoon now. Not get the... Oh, Marsh Flats doesn't get the thing anyway. Perfect. Played it just right. White. Do I need triple white for any reason? Triple white versus double black. My black spells in the deck are Sauron's Ransom and Invasion, because now Fatal pushes off. I don't need that much black. I'm going to get Hallowed Fountain and make a 1-1 in the old end step. This might just get BTFO'd by Blowmasters. Okay, we dodged that Cruel Fate. And found land number 5. Okay, there's a whole plan lined up here. And I'm going to play Explosives on 2, just in case. I can still Leyline Binding and Solitude if I need to. Okay, that's countered. Sure. They're a Death Shadow deck, and I'm not sure what this creature's going to be next turn, so I'm not going to attack for 1 with Shark Token. 5 mana, Liliana in hand. Liliana has to resolve. Other player sacks a creature. Hey, that's me. Cool. I didn't want to discard any of these cards. That works out great. Okay, Lazav's getting in. It can turn into Dark Confidant. Not super stressed about that. And end step, I'm going to try to answer the Liliana. Leyline Binding. Can't Drown in the Lock this. Just a little short. Get this Liliana out of here. I like my hand. Please and thank you. Another binding. Hangs out with this Solitude pretty nicely. Drown in the Lock is online at this point. For Invasion and for Solitude. Just going to make them do stuff. Lazao's becoming Dark Confidant. Alright. In response, you get nothing. Cool trick, but no. Do it now so they gain 1 life instead of 2. The turn in Modern and even Legacy control decks where you start hardcasting Solitude, wow, does that feel good. Okay, big money here. It's time to shoot my shot, as they say. I'm going to leave up white in case I need to bind some ley lines. Oh, can't do it like that. I only have 1 black source. Remember when I made that decision to fetch that way? It's still fine, but it matters here. Shark Typhoon coming into play with leyline binding ready to make a 6/6. Okay, they seem to be just passing. That might be Chalice locking them out. It might be nothing. Oh, alright, well, I don't normally recommend this. And I still think it's wrong, but casting the second Shark Typhoon, getting a 6/6 off the first one, when they're already kind of showing me that they're not doing anything, let's do it. Okay. I'm going to battle my invasion here. Battle my battle. Invade my battle. I don't know what the correct verb is for that. Or noun, apparently. I don't know anything. Alright, cast the Broken Sky. I get 2 5/5s that become 6/5 lifelinks. All of Heliod. Good luck. End step, make a 2/1 lifelink. I'm just going to one-shot this opponent. They're doing a Night's Whisper on the way out. Might as well. You're already very dead. They would need, like, Damnation just to see another turn. Unless they finally reveal what the Lazav combo is and I somehow lose. Okay, they're just killing a 7/6 shark. You're still dead. Dismembering another shark. Okay, you're technically alive now. There are no enchantments in my graveyard to rebuy at this time. I foolishly cast the Shark Typhoon instead of leaving it where it belongs. Okay, attack you here, and now I have Leyline Binding plus Counterspell and multiple lethal creatures. Broken Sky's pretty sick when it gets going. Murderous Cut. You got it. Still dead. I'm not going to fight over that. And then concede. Cool. We did the thing. Alright, they showed me the hand of 5/1 drops. The Fair Chalice turned out to be quite good. On to the final round. For the absolute best Magic the Gathering apparel on the market, check out the link in the video description to coalesceapparel.shop and be sure to use the code BoshNRoll for 10% off when you check out. On the draw for the final round, I'm going to keep this hand. It's got my lands in it, which I've determined is the most important thing. Positive Record's locked, by the way. Playing for the 4/1. Inspiring Vantage, alright. Light 'em up, team. This matchup I have some concerns about. I had some concerns in deck building, and we'll see how they bear out now. This Solitude is going to be important. Somewhere along the curve here. I kinda hope they just have an Eidolon that I can answer cleanly, but it looks like that's not what's happening. I am going to get the Ketria Triome here. I have enough fetches to make my mana do what it needs to do. They want land go. We're just going to get taste a bunch of fire on the way out here. End of turn. Lightning Helix. Yep, you got me. The speed of this game is kind of skeezing me out. This makes me wonder if they have a mono instance hand or if there's currently some Searing Blazes locked in over there. Alright, just waited for me to fetch. Counterspell not available. Not a card I have anyway, but good timing. Fiend's Tower in tapped. I think I'm going to play one more fetch land here, and then I'll start playing Halls and tapped Watery Graves. I can gain 1 life at instant speed, if that becomes relevant. I can make a Shark Typhoon and then Solitude it. Solitude can't target itself. It does say other. It's not just a pitch healing salve. This fetch might be dangerous, but I gotta get something going. If they just Boros Charm Bolt here. Okay, Lightning Helix does not beat me here. It's not on its own. I do not have double white available, and Solitude is eventually my plan. Okay, I want Plains here rather than Island. They make a 1/1. They're also tapped out of Searing Blaze at this moment. Dress Down, not helpful. Dress Down could be helpful, I guess. There is a world where I dress down and then just shove Solitude as a 3/2 no abilities. I think I leave Shark back just in case they draw a haste creature. I don't have room to really mess around with anything here. And if they're on mono spells, we just lose. Haste creature. Yeah, just block here all day, every day. Boros charming me. That's annoying. Okay, now I have to Solitude my own creature. And don't get to do the trick here. Solitude ends up in the graveyard, though, where it is useful for invasion. Definitely could have timed that so it won the game. That was interesting decision. I'm going to dress down now and draw the card in their main phase, so dress down's not around during my turn. Subtlety, okay. 2 cards in their hand. If they are spells, we lose. What do you think the chances are that they're spells? My guess is 100%. I'm going to invade, putting Solitude in, and cross my fingers that they're somehow out of gas. Or that it's 2 creatures. Yep, I'm at 1. That's how that works. Okay. On my deck that's really good against creatures and pretty medium against spells. Just played against the mono spell hand from Burn. Swords of Salvation, Chalice of the Void, Flusterstorm, Dovin's Veto, probably Engineered Explosives. I don't want Sphere of Safety here. I think that's too slow. Spreading Seas actually like pretty fire. It's a low land deck that it plays 2 colors. Invasion, just nightmare slow. I think Troll sucks. Lingering Souls can get some block in. Subtlety can buy time, but I don't think I want to be 2-for-1ing myself a lot here. I like the counter spells. Invasion giving the whole squad lifelink is pretty serious, but I have to do a lot to get that going. And Solitude already has that word on it. I'm going to go down to 1 of those. Ransom feels slow. Spreading Seas is a cool toy, but I don't need all 4. A bunch of counters in. Do I want to get rid of Subtlety to get my Spreading Seas back in? That actually, I think if I play 2 of these in a game, I win. The Subtlety being a blocker and potential emergency solution to something like Eidolon. Pretty exciting. Alright, I'm off it though. I'm playing it like this on the play. A Ketria Triumph 1-lander. We love those. Mulligan. Okay. Ketria Triumph 2-lander. Genuinely love those. I'm in. I'm going to keep this, and I think I bottom the Leyline Binding. In the Spreading Seas, it's here. And Solitude is like my one way to gain life in the world. Alright. I'm doing that. I'm going to play Ketria Triumph and send it. Please just lava spike me again. Sick. Did it. Okay, unfortunately, I do have to fetch shot Godless Shrine if I want to do what I want to do here. I hope that it pays out over time, and I'm doing it. Godless Shrine, Spreading Seas. Now please don't cast any spells for a while. Counterspell in my hand, no mana to cast it. If I find the second blue source, I'll be feeling pretty good about my life. They have functionally 1 mana right now. I think every spell in their deck costs exclusively pipped mana to cast. Or, yeah, I guess Skull Crack. Alright, you have a blue in the pool. Alright, just tapping it for fun. Yo, alright. That's the action we crave. This turns off my Surge and my push, but now I can pitch Surge to Solitude and not feel too bad about it. They can't cast their 2 mana spells anyway. Roiling Vortex. That one sucks ass and is going to kill me. Fuck. Alright. Well, that was a good 2 mana spell. That got through Spreading Seas. I need some action quickly. That's not it. Oh, we're going to die here. These are some tough run bads in a situation that started out really good. Once again, Ketria Triumph trying to support Leyline Binding. Leyline Binding's actually kind of the nuts here. That's probably my best draw. Okay, here's that. Still mega stupid slow. The Solitude thousands of years away. Even if I draw a dress down that allows me to shoot in the Solitude, I would take 5 from Whirling Vortex for the pleasure, because I would spend no mana on the Solitude. I need a Prismatic Ending or Leyline Binding right now. Island, we're getting closer to hardcasting Solitude. They have a Riftbolt on Suspend. I'm going to counter that. And they take 5 for this. Not that they're worried about their life total. Okay, counterspell that. They can't do too many of those, though. If they fall behind to their own Vortex, that's just bad business. They have untapped with counterspell again. I'd love a land. There's the dress down. Sucks to suck. And Roiling Vortex can just activate also. Okay, if they tap their red mana for something that doesn't kill me here, yeah, there's actually something resembling a reasonable line right now. So in the main phase, so if I fetch, I go to 6, then I take 5, the fetch land actually kills me here. I would have been able to protect it all with Counterspell in a different world. Okay, I guess I just dress down here to draw a card. Invasion, interesting. Not helpful, but interesting. Yeah, I think if this came together a turn earlier, I would have gone for it. Now I have to fetch twice to cast Solitude. Pretty bad deal all around. But I'm gonna try it. This is the only plays that I have. Opponent's at 7. Finding that second land is a huge beating. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna fetch to 4. Get all the basics out. Cast a Solitude for the gold price of mana. And I can't even pitch Solitude to deal with my own Solitude. Yep, just dead. Okay. Yep, Roiling Vortex for the win. Yeah, I knew Burn would be a bad matchup when I built the deck and kind of decided, like, that's what Surge of Salvation ended up in the sideboard partially for. That was the 15th decision, and beat by a sideboard card that I did play 6, 10, 12 answers to post-board. It's fine. Okay. This deck was surprisingly effective. Kind of makes me wonder what Esper control would look like if we weren't building around a specific 5-mana build-around challenge. I'm sure people are out there doing it, but, like, what if we played Bowmaster and maybe some discard spells, maybe Big Teferi? What if these Invasion of Tolvadas were just 3 copies of Big Teferi? I don't think that's the way to go, but that's how I want to start thinking about this. The troll sucks. That's just, like, not even a thing. Get rid of that. It's probably better as Lorien Revealed if you want to do something like that. Even with the Reanimate synergies, it just doesn't matter. Lorien is better when it's in your hand, and islands are more important in the deck than swamps. If you wanted to keep Invasion of Tolvada as a core part of the deck, I would cut 1 for a Big Teferi and cut Troll for Lorien Revealed, and then you can just play this deck as is. If you're not beholden to a brew challenge, maybe round out your Prismatic Endings, play 3 of those, and 2 Big Teferis, or a Jason a Teferi, 2 copies of the One Ring. Though life loss is a problem for this deck, and we don't have good answers for it. But okay, I'll let you figure that out if you want to keep exploring this. But we put up a positive record, and the deck felt pretty solid the whole time. Okay, Renegade, thank you for this brew challenge. Everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you again for being patient as I figure out the recording settings on my new rig. Hopefully today was better than yesterday, and I hope tomorrow's better than today, and we should be back to normal soon. Thank you all for being here. Like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon. I'll see you next time.